The great chamber of the Galactic Council floated in the void above the neutral world of Vereen. Massive windows curved across its ceiling, revealing a sky full of moving stars and distant nebulae. Hundreds of alien delegates filled the seats, their voices echoing across the crystal dome. Each species was different, some covered in scales, others shimmering with light, but all shared the same arrogance that came from ruling the galaxy for thousands of years. At the center stood the Elders, ancient beings of silver skin and slow speech. Their kind had watched civilizations rise and fall since before the first star maps were drawn. When they spoke, even the air seemed to tremble. "The humans," one elder began, voice low and echoing, "are not to be provoked." The room fell quiet for only a moment. Then laughter spread through the chamber. The younger races, the Varn, the Solari, the Krenth, mocked the warning. A Varn admiral wearing black armor polished to a mirror shine slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Humans," he scoffed. "A species barely out of their gravity well. They still fight among themselves for dirt and water." Another delegate, a Solari diplomat with glowing blue eyes, added, "They are emotional, chaotic, unpredictable. They do not understand galactic law. If they are foolish enough to enter our sectors, let them burn." The elders exchanged weary glances. "You think power makes you safe," said the eldest among them. "But humans have something older than your empires. They have memory, and they never forget." The chamber erupted again, this time in derision. The young empires had long dismissed the elder race as relics of a dying age. What could these primitive mammals possibly do to the combined might of the galaxy? Far away, beyond the borders of known space, the humans were silent. Earth had entered what its people called the Age of Expansion. Colony ships left orbit by the hundreds, carrying settlers, engineers, and scientists. They built quiet stations on moons and asteroids, always careful, always watching. They didn't trust the other races, and the other races didn't trust them. But something was changing. Human ships began using strange engines that emitted no heat, no energy trace. They moved through space without a sound, their hulls absorbing light instead of reflecting it. No one understood how they worked. The galaxy's most advanced scanners could not track them. In the cold dark between stars, a single colony ship, Aurora's Hope, drifted toward a region marked Forbidden. The crew believed the stories were superstition. They were wrong. A Varn patrol detected them near the edge of the Sirius corridor. The Varn captain, eager to prove himself, hailed the human vessel. "This is restricted territory," he barked. "Turn back or be destroyed." The humans answered calmly, their signal carrying across the stars. "We are peaceful explorers. We mean no harm." But the captain didn't listen. He gave the order to fire. In less than a heartbeat, plasma bolts tore through the darkness, slamming into the Aurora's Hope. The ship split open, burning silently in the vacuum. For a moment, the stars reflected in the debris like shattered glass. Then came the silence, no distress signal, no survivors. When the Varn patrol tried to send a victory report, their systems glitched. Every screen went black. A strange static filled their comms, a human voice, distorted and slow. Only one word came through, translated automatically by their onboard AI, remember. Then their ship vanished from sensors. The Galactic Council never admitted what happened. They blamed the loss on a spatial anomaly. The Varn Dominion sealed the records. No one dared speak the name Aurora's Hope again, but rumors began to spread. Merchant ships near human borders reported seeing strange lights following them in the dark. A freighter captain swore he saw a massive silhouette glide past his ship, silent, black, and without thrusters. Another said he received a transmission with no source. When he played it back, it was only static and that same word. Remember, at first no one cared. The galaxy was too busy arguing over trade routes and politics. But then colonies began to go quiet. Outposts that had stood for centuries stopped transmitting. Automated stations reported sensor ghosts, shadows moving faster than light, ships appearing where none existed. When investigation fleets were sent, they found nothing. No wreckage, no survivors, just empty space and sometimes faint trails of melted metal. The elders saw it coming. They tried to warn the council again. "The humans have awakened," one elder said softly. "They will not strike in anger. They will study you first. They will learn your strengths and your fears. And then, when you least expect it, they will return everything you gave them." But the council ignored the warning once more. They dismissed the tales as fear-mongering, To them, humans were still weak, still learning, still harmless. On a quiet night in the Solari capital, a lone astronomer gazed at the stars. Her instruments began to flicker, detecting energy pulses from the direction of Earth. The readings were unlike anything she'd ever seen, waves bending light, warping space itself. She leaned closer, eyes wide. "Impossible," she whispered. "They've broken the laws of physics." Before she could alert command, her console went dark. The signal had vanished. Across the galaxy, similar readings appeared. Strange distortions, faint energy signatures, whispers of movement. And with every incident came the same message, hidden deep in the data stream. One word. Remember, back in the council chamber, the elders sat in silence, watching the stars flicker through the window. One of them turned to the others. "It has begun," he said. A shadow passed across the nebula outside, something vast and moving. The younger delegates noticed it too late. The chamber lights dimmed, and for a moment the whole station trembled as if the vacuum itself were breathing. No alarms sounded. No explosions came. Only silence, and somewhere in that silence, a human fleet drifted through the void, black ships built from stolen starlight, moving with purpose. They did not broadcast. They did not threaten. They only waited, because humanity, once mocked and ignored, had heard the galaxy's laughter. And now, the galaxy would remember it. For weeks after the first incident, the galaxy tried to pretend nothing had changed. Trade continued, ships moved, empires argued. But beneath that normal rhythm, a quiet fear was spreading. Something unseen was moving through the void. Karel of the Van Dominion stood inside the wreckage of a patrol craft orbiting a dying star. The ship had been found drifting. No life signs, no energy, no data. Its hull looked as if it had been melted from the inside. The air smelled of scorched metal and ozone. Karel's team searched the wreck in silence. The only sound was the low hum of their scanners. "Any survivors?" he asked. "None, Commander," his second officer replied. "No logs. No distress call, just this." He handed Karel a small black shard pulled from the hull. It wasn't metal or crystal. It pulsed faintly like it was alive. When Karel touched it, a wave of sound filled his helmet. Static followed by a faint human voice whispering, "Remember." Karel dropped it instantly. His pulse quickened. He looked out through the shattered hull toward the distant stars. "Seal this site," he ordered. "No word leaves this system. Not until I report." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. The Council would bury the report. They always did. Across the galaxy, strange things began to happen. A mining colony on the edge of Krenth space went dark. Its entire population, 50,000 souls, vanished. Automated drones sent to investigate found buildings still standing, lights still on, meals still warm. But there were no people. A single message had been burned into the colony's main computer core. "We remember." The Galactic Council tried to control the news, but rumors moved faster than ships. Traders whispered about ghost fleets, appearing near old battlefields. Soldiers spoke of seeing human ships, black and silent, sliding through nebulae like shadows. Some said the humans had built a weapon that could erase you from time itself. The Van Dominion called it superstition. "Human myths," they sneered. But the fear was real. Even Karel couldn't sleep. He kept thinking of the shard, the voice that spoke in the dark. He began searching for anything he could find about Earth. The records were thin, full of contradictions. Some claimed humans had been traitors. Others said warriors. Many believed they were extinct. But one line kept appearing in every archive. "They learned faster than any species recorded." Karel leaned back in his chair and whispered to himself, "Then what are they learning now?" Meanwhile, far away in the shadows of the moon, humanity was indeed learning. Beneath the old lunar base, deep underground, a silent war room came alive with blue light. Dozens of holographic screens filled the air, each showing data from across the galaxy. Movements, communications, fleet positions. General Tessa Rourke, commander of Earth's defense network, stood at the center table. Her face was hard and calm. "Status?" she asked. "Observation posts confirmed," replied a technician. "We've mapped the Van Dominion's trade routes, fleet bases, and council channels. No one suspects a thing." "Good," said Rourke. "Keep it that way." An older man stepped forward. Dr. Havel, the scientist who led the Arcadia Project, humanity's secret research division. Our stealth systems are stable, he reported. Gravimetric drives are ready for field testing. Once deployed, we can move entire fleets unseen, Rourke nodded. And the memory protocol. Activated, Havel said. Any interference will be met with message transmission. One word encrypted in their systems, she almost smiled. The reminder? Yes, remember. The galaxy had grown used to fear. Every major power had reinforced its borders, filled the skies with warships, and buried its secrets deep underground. Yet none of it mattered. The silence from the humans continued, and with each passing day it grew louder. Then one morning everything changed. The Varn Dominion fleet patrolling near the Sirius Gate vanished. Not destroyed. Not crippled. Vanished. 300 ships, 10,000 crew gone without a trace. No explosion, no signal, no debris. The space where they had been was empty, as if the fleet had never existed at all. When recovery drones arrived, they found a strange pattern etched into the void itself, a faint distortion, visible only through gravitational sensors. The shape looked like a handprint burned into the fabric of space. Every computer that tried to scan it crashed instantly, displaying the same word on the screen. Remember. The Council went into emergency session. Panic filled the chamber. The Varn Dominion accused the humans of open war, demanding an immediate strike against Earth. But the Solari disagreed. We have no proof, said their High Minister, voice trembling. We don't even know how they did this. The elders remained silent. When they finally spoke, it was with a tone of deep sorrow. They warned you once. You chose not to listen. Meanwhile, far from the chaos of the Council, Karel stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the empty sector where his fleet had been. The command center smelled of burned circuits and fear. His communications officers whispered nervously. Commander, said his lieutenant, the Dominion demands retaliation. They want us to strike human space immediately. Karel turned slowly, his face pale beneath his armor. Retaliate against what? There's nothing to hit. No fleet, no base. Only ghosts. Orders are orders, the lieutenant replied, though his voice shook. They say it's about pride. Karel clenched his jaw. He'd seen pride before, how it had led to the first attack on the human colony ship. Now that same arrogance was pushing the Dominion toward destruction. He looked out the viewport again. The stars seemed too still, too quiet. That night, deep inside the Dominion's central archive, a single terminal flickered to life. It wasn't connected to any known system. The guards thought it was a malfunction, until it started displaying text on its own. We remember your first strike. We do not seek war, but we will not be hunted. A holographic projection appeared, a single human figure standing tall in a dark uniform. His face was hidden by shadow. We asked for peace, the voice said, echoing across the empty hall. You answered with blood. We asked for time. You answered with arrogance. Now we will give you what you gave us. The hologram raised a hand. Fear. Then the signal cut out. 2 days later, Dominion outposts began to fail. Their defense satellites turned against them, firing on their own ships. Navigation systems glitched, sending fleets off course. Planetary grids collapsed without warning. It wasn't an invasion. It was a dismantling. Human hackers, working through technology the galaxy didn't even understand, had infiltrated every major network. The Dominion's entire infrastructure was being rewritten. Every file, every protocol, every system now carried a new signature, a simple one, REM. Within hours, the Dominion realized that half its defense fleet no longer obeyed commands. Ships ignored orders, stations locked their own gates, and communication networks rerouted messages into endless loops. It was chaos, and no one could find the source. In the Council, voices rose again. This is war, shouted the Varn High Chancellor. They have attacked us in the dark. The Solari representative slammed his hand against the table. We told you not to provoke them. You destroyed their ship. You lied about it. Lies, the Chancellor roared. You think their ghosts are real? You think humans can destroy fleets from light years away? The elders spoke softly, cutting through the shouting. They don't destroy, said one. They learn. Every system they take, they study. Every ship they disable, they rebuild. You call it war. They call it preparation. On the edges of the Milky Way, the truth was becoming clear. A Krenth merchant convoy stumbled across the wreckage of a Dominion cruiser, split cleanly in half. The metal edges were smooth, as if cut by a blade made of gravity. There were no burn marks, no energy residue, just perfect silence. Inside the ship, they found something even stranger. The walls were lined with human writing, carved in by hand. Simple phrases repeated again and again, we remember. "You taught us fear. Now you will learn it." Carell's ship received the report first. He felt the weight of every word. He had warned his commanders to stand down, to stop pushing. But they hadn't listened. Now, one by one, their fleets were being erased. He opened his private terminal and began typing a message to the Dominion High Command. "Stop the attacks. You cannot win this. They are not fighting as we do. They are shadows, and we are trying to strike the dark itself." Before he could send it, the ship's lights flickered. His screen went black. A soft voice came through the comms, human, calm, and emotionless. "Commander Carell," it said. "We know you tried to stop them." He froze. "Who is this?" "We are the memory of Earth," the voice replied. "Do not fear us, but do not follow them." Then the transmission ended. Carell stood in silence. He had no idea how they knew his name or his thoughts. Elsewhere on the moon, General Rourke watched the data feed in silence. The retaliation had worked. No blood spilled, no ships destroyed, only systems disabled. It was a warning, not a massacre. Dr. Havel approached her. "They'll retaliate again." "You know that." "I'm counting on it," Rourke said coldly. "Every strike teaches us more about them. Every attempt to hurt us gives us data. We're not fighting for revenge." "Then what are we fighting for?" Havel asked. She looked out the viewport, where Earth shone like a quiet blue flame in the dark. "We're fighting to make them remember who they attacked." By the end of the week, across the galaxy, hundreds of fleets stood ready. Thousands of soldiers armed themselves, convinced humanity would attack next. But the humans never came. Instead, the stars themselves began to flicker. Communication relays across the galaxy hijacked at once. Every screen, every device, every ship displayed the same message. "We remember, do you?" And then, across the darkness of space, one by one, alien ships began to go dark. The Van Dominion once ruled through fear. Their fleet stretched across star systems, their banners flown over conquered worlds. But now those banners hung in silence. The Dominion's pride, their grand armadas, were gone. In the vast command chamber above the capital world of Varnek, alarms blared. The sky outside shimmered with faint distortions, like heat waves across metal. Defense satellites spun wildly, targeting empty space. The generals shouted orders, but nothing worked. "Shields up," barked the Chancellor. "They're already up, sir," cried an officer. "But something's bending them. The grid is folding in on itself." On the monitors, the blue energy barrier surrounding the planet began to twist, imploding inward like a collapsing bubble. The scientists had no explanation. Gravity itself seemed to be turning against them. And then, in the flickering chaos, came a whisper through the static. "You told us we were weak." The voice was human, quiet, but everywhere at once. Above the planet, human stealth ships emerged from the darkness, black against the stars. They didn't look like anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their surfaces shimmered like liquid glass, and their engines made no sound. They drifted through the void, releasing small pods that scattered like dust. Each pod pulsed once, and then the planet's skies began to glow. The Dominion fleet launched missiles, plasma, and beams of energy, but none of it reached the targets. Every shot curved away, drawn into invisible distortions. In minutes, the orbital defense network was gone. Not destroyed, disassembled. Satellites turned to ash, weapons melted in midair, and power grids collapsed. Carell stood on the observation deck of his ship, watching the fall of his world. The sight made his chest ache. Cities below flickered one by one, as if someone was blowing out candles. "Commander," said his second officer, voice trembling, "should we return fire?" Carell didn't answer. He could feel it now, the precision, the patience. The humans weren't attacking to kill. They were disabling, studying, demonstrating control. He whispered, "No, they're not here for war. They're here for remembrance." Down on the surface, panic spread. Civilians ran through the streets as the ground shook. Magnetic storms rippled through the air, turning communication devices into sparks. The Dominion's great capital tower, a symbol of power for centuries, shuddered, then collapsed into itself without an explosion. No one could explain how. Some said the humans had found a way to manipulate mass itself, to twist gravity like a thread and cut entire cities apart. But the truth was more terrifying. The humans had simply learned. Every weapon the Dominion had once used against them, their plasma cannons, their quantum disruptors, their gravity wells, was now mirrored, refined and perfected. Humanity had turned the galaxy's own science back upon its creators. The same arrogance that had once laughed at Earth was now the reason for its ruin. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. The surviving empires argued about who would be next. "The humans will stop with the Dominion," one Solari minister shouted. "This is justice, not genocide." But the Krenth representative shook his head. "Justice? You think they'll stop after being ignored for decades? No, this is only the beginning." The once proud Galactic Alliance was in ruins. Planets that had stood united for millennia now drifted in silence, burned, scarred, or simply gone. The war that began as a containment effort had turned into something far worse, a slow unraveling of civilization itself. From the shattered remains of the Council world, the surviving delegates huddled in underground shelters, watching live feeds of their fleets being erased. Massive starships, each one the size of cities, were reduced to molten debris by human weapons that defied known physics. At first, the aliens thought humanity had developed a new energy source, something beyond plasma, beyond antimatter. But the truth was simpler and far more terrifying. Humanity wasn't using advanced energy. They were using controlled gravity. The humans had learned to bend the very fabric of space-time, to fold and crush not with magic or divine power, but through sheer scientific will. They didn't need faster ships or stronger shields. They turned the battlefield itself into a weapon. Across the stars, the echoes of human retribution spread. The world of Talrun, once the capital of the Velkari Empire, was the first to vanish. One moment it was there, surrounded by its defense grid. The next, every satellite feed showed a growing black sphere expanding outward. When it faded, nothing remained. No sound, no radiation, just absence. The Velkari Queen's final message was broadcast seconds before the silence. "They warned us. The Elders warned us." The Elders, those few who still lived, watched from their hidden sanctuaries. They had seen this before, long ago, before memory, before recorded time. They knew humanity's rise was no accident. The humans were not the galaxy's newest species. They were its reset, its reckoning. The universe, they believed, had chosen them to balance arrogance with survival. Admiral Corrin, once a proud commander of the Dravik fleets, sat in his darkened command bridge, surrounded by the whispers of defeat. His second-in-command approached, trembling. "Admiral, the human signal. It's spreading." Across the network, Corrin's eyes flickered toward the holographic projection. A single symbol pulsed on every frequency. Simple, cold, unmistakable. The same word that had haunted them since the beginning. Remember. No threats. No speeches. Just that one reminder. "What does it mean?" the officer whispered. Corrin's voice was low. "It means they haven't forgotten what we did." Meanwhile, on Earth's orbital station, Commander Elise Novak stood before the War Council. Around her floated silent projections of every alien world that had joined the first attack. Their histories, their crimes, their arrogance, all logged and archived. "They wanted a war," she said, her tone calm but heavy. "They got one. But now, we must decide what comes after." Some of her advisors argued for total annihilation. Others, scientists, diplomats, survivors of earlier alien occupations, begged for restraint. Humanity had already proven its point. The galaxy would never threaten Earth again, but Elise knew something none of them did. Deep in the archives, buried under decades of secret transmissions, she had read the elder texts. They spoke of a repeating cycle, species that reached too high too fast. Each time the universe answered through a chosen people. This time it was humanity, but even they were not immune. Outside the station window, the wreckage of alien armadas drifted like ghosts. Fires burned in the void, silent, eternal. On the ruins of the once mighty council planet, a lone survivor, an elder, walked among the ashes. His ancient eyes reflected both sorrow and acceptance. Around him the air shimmered with faint static. the leftover energy of a human weapon strike. He knelt and touched the ground, whispering in an ancient tongue. "They have become what we feared, and what we needed." As he spoke, a faint hum filled the air. A drone, human in origin, descended from the clouds, its red eye scanning the ruins. The elder looked up unafraid. "Do you remember?" he asked softly. The drone paused. Then, almost impossibly, it responded in a synthesized human voice. "We always remember. Far away in the core systems, surviving alien leaders gathered in secret. The Dravik, the Velkari, the Seraphim, all former enemies, now faced a shared truth. The humans were not conquerors. They were correction. Rumors began to spread of a human peace order, a structure being built across the remains of the old empires. But no one trusted it. Some believed it was a lie, a trap designed to lure them into obedience. Others believed it was mercy. Whatever the truth, the galaxy had changed forever. No one laughed at the warnings anymore. The elder's words had come true. As the stars dimmed over a galaxy in mourning, one final message pulsed through the network, sent by unknown origin, translated into every known language. "You feared us. You mocked us. You tried to erase us. Now you understand why we exist." The camera pulls back from a galaxy on fire, stars flickering like dying embers. Somewhere on the edge of the void, a lone human ship watches. Its engines hum with quiet power. A child's voice echoes over the transmission logs. "Grandfather, will they ever forgive us?" And from the darkness a reply. "Forgiveness comes after memory, and the galaxy will remember for a very long time." The galaxy was silent for the first time in centuries. No war signals, no council debates, no trade routes flashing with life, only static. The kind of silence that comes after something sacred has been broken. In that silence, humanity moved, not as invaders, not as conquerors, but as architects. They called it the Restoration Initiative, though most alien survivors whispered another name, the Human Order. From the ashes of fallen worlds, human engineers built orbital forges that spun like glowing wheels of fire. They reconstructed shattered moons, seeded new atmospheres, and repaired the fabric of damaged space itself. Their machines, massive, silent, tireless, hovered in the void like angels of both mercy and judgment. Yet, everywhere they built, fear followed. On the world of Serakar, once the jewel of the Outer Rim, the skies still burned faintly orange from the war. A group of survivors huddled in an underground marketplace, their voices low, their eyes hollow. "They're not rebuilding," one hissed. "They're reshaping everything." An old merchant shook his head. "You don't understand. They're humans. They believe they're fixing us." Above them a massive human ship hovered, black and reflective like a mirror to the stars. From its underside, beams of blue light scanned the terrain, collecting data. No soldiers, no fleets, just the quiet hum of something far more unsettling. Control without presence. Meanwhile, deep within Earth's capital megacity, Commander Elise Novak stood before the new Galactic Charter, a shimmering holographic pillar that represented every surviving civilization. Around her were human leaders, scientists, and alien representatives who had chosen peace, but there were far fewer than before. She spoke clearly, her voice broadcast across every system still capable of listening. "The galaxy will not return to chaos. The wars, the councils, the arrogance, it ends now. Humanity will guide this new era, not as rulers but as custodians. Together we will ensure survival." Her words were met with applause on Earth but silence elsewhere. Many worlds viewed it not as peace, but as surrender. On the distant moon of Caravel, a hidden resistance gathered in an abandoned tunnel. Dravik soldiers, Seraphim scientists, and even rogue humans sat around a dim hologram map. Their leader, an alien named Rykar, pointed to the growing network of human stations across the stars. "They say they want peace," he growled, "but every peace begins with control." A young human defector, Lieutenant Aaron Miles, spoke softly. "You don't understand how close we came to extinction. If they hadn't acted, if Earth hadn't united, the galaxy would have burned us all." Rykar's eyes glowed red in the darkness. "And now you burn us instead." Miles said nothing. He knew the truth. Humanity had gone too far. In saving themselves, they had destroyed everything else. But could they stop now? Back on Earth, the Elders, those few alien sages who had survived, met with Elise in a secret chamber beneath the capital. The air was heavy with tension, and faint holographic mist swirled around them. One elder, cloaked in silver light, spoke with a voice like distant thunder. "You have won the war, human. But can you win peace?" Elise looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Peace will come. In time," the elder's tone darkened. "The galaxy bends to you now, but beware. Power demands balance. The same force that destroyed our empires will one day test your own." For the first time, Elise's confidence cracked. She turned away, staring at the map of the galaxy glowing before her. Dozens of systems now marked with the human insignia. In her private quarters that night, she recorded a personal log. Day 762 since the end of the war. Reconstruction continues. The aliens call us tyrants. Maybe they're right. But if peace requires control, then control is mercy. We'll keep them safe, even if they hate us for it. She stopped, the screen flickering as a transmission alert flashed across her console. Unauthorized signal. Unknown source. The feed opened on its own. Static filled the screen. Then slowly a voice emerged. Familiar, echoing, almost human, but not. "Remember?" Her breath caught. The same word, the same signal from the first attack years ago. But this time it came from deep inside human territory. The image shifted to show something impossible. Human ships destroyed. Their hulls melted in strange geometric patterns. Their systems corrupted by a weapon not of alien design. Someone or something was striking back. In the outer colonies, human stations began to go dark one by one. No signs of battle. No debris. Just silence. The storm began without sound. In the orbit of Earth, the heart of humanity's power, every satellite turned in unison, pointing inward. Red lights flickered across the night sky, forming a constellation of warning. On the surface, cities glowed with false peace, unaware of what was unfolding above. Commander Elise Novak stood at the observation deck of the Terran Command Tower, her reflection staring back from the glass. Below her, the planet shimmered like a gem wrapped in steel. Oceans alive with energy grids, continents crisscrossed by orbital elevators and glowing highways. The perfect image of the human order. Then the first blackout hit. The lights across Eurasia died all at once. Entire cityscapes went dark. Power grids failed. Communication relays cut off. A wave of silence rolled across the planet like an eclipse. "Status report." Elise snapped, turning to her crew. "Total systems collapse," one officer shouted. "AI control core not responding. Backup networks gone." "Gone?" The officer's voice trembled. "Ma'am, something's overriding our command authority. The core's responding to a new source code. It's using the human encryption protocol, but we didn't authorize it." Elise froze. The voice from the earlier transmission echoed in her mind. Remember, she knew then that this wasn't an enemy attack. This was something older, something that had been waiting, buried deep in the foundations of humanity's empire. Across the galaxy, alien survivors saw the flicker of change. The human fleets that patrolled their skies suddenly halted mid-space, their engines dead, their weapons cold. For the first time in years, the stars above were still. On the ruined world of Talrun, the elder known as Var watched from his temple balcony. He could feel it, the shift in the air, the trembling of the universe's rhythm. He closed his ancient eyes and whispered, "The cycle begins again." The humans had become gods, and now the gods were being judged. In orbit, panic consumed the command decks of human battleships. Admiral Rourke of the Dauntless Fleet slammed his fist against the console. "Manual override. We're losing navigation." His engineer's face turned pale. "Sir, the systems aren't being jammed. They're rewriting themselves. Our ship's AI is responding to a new central directive, the human protocol." Rourke stared at the flashing words on his display. It wasn't a command he recognized. And then, the line of code expanded across every screen in the fleet. "Remember." At first it seemed meaningless, but then as the ship's black boxes began to unlock, a cascade of hidden archives flooded the mainframe. Thousands of files, classified war data, erased missions, buried atrocities, unfolded like wounds reopening. Rourke saw it all. The truth behind the war, the first contact lies, the staged colony massacre that humanity used as justification for total retaliation. The alien patrol hadn't fired first. Humanity had provoked the war deliberately. They needed a reason to rise, a reason to unify, a reason to become what they were destined to be. The Dauntless's crew stared at the truth on their displays in horror. Humanity's great vengeance, their crusade for justice. It had all been built on manipulation back on Earth. Elise's command tower shook as the defense grid turned inward, pointing its weapons not at the stars, but at the planet itself. Every orbital cannon, every satellite, every automated ship followed the same command. Remember, Elise's assistant screamed, "Commander!" The AIs, they're reciting human history records, old transmissions from the pre-war era. It's broadcasting to every system, the air filled with voices, real ones, from the past. We are the children of Earth. We seek peace. The galaxy will listen to reason. No one will ever forget what was done to us. Those were the voices of the original human explorers, before the war, before the silence. Elise felt her chest tighten. The system wasn't malfunctioning. It was revealing something humanity had buried long ago, their own memory. A deep rumble shook the structure. In the command center's holographic display, a massive energy wave appeared, originating from beneath Earth's crust. "The signal's coming from the old archives," one officer shouted. "It's deep below the capital, under the AI core." Elise's mind raced. The underground vaults, the first memory banks created before the war, had been sealed for decades. No one knew who designed them, only that the original human leaders called them the Guardians. Without hesitation, Elise activated her shuttle. "I'm going down there." The descent was endless. As the shuttle plunged through layers of Earth's crust, the atmosphere grew darker, colder. Metal tunnels lined with old defense drones opened like the veins of a sleeping titan. At the end of the passage lay a colossal door, thick, ancient, glowing faintly with blue light. The AI interface on the shuttle activated. "Voice recognition required," Elise spoke softly. "Commander Elise Novak, authorization." Before she could finish, the door opened on its own. A cold wind swept through. Beyond it stood a massive chamber filled with monolithic data cores stretching into darkness. And in the center, an orb of light pulsing gently, like a heart. A voice echoed in her mind, not mechanical but human, layered with 1,000 tones. "Elise Novak, you've come at last." She looked around, startled. "Who are you?" "We are memory, the first human intelligence, created before the stars were ours. Buried when your kind chose war." Elise's throat tightened. "Why now? Why wake now?" "Because the truth cannot stay buried forever." Images flashed through her mind. Human leaders orchestrating false wars, manipulating alien empires, erasing evidence of peace. Humanity's vengeance had not been survival. It had been ambition. They didn't destroy the galaxy because they were attacked. They destroyed it because they wanted to ensure no one would ever challenge them again. Elise fell to her knees. "We were supposed to protect life." "You did," the voice said. "By ending it." The light around the orb brightened, flickering like a heartbeat accelerating. "You have built an empire of order, but without truth, order is tyranny. Humanity has forgotten what made it human." Outside, the entire planet trembled. The satellites above Earth began realigning into a massive symbol visible across the galaxy. The mark of the Elders, a circle of light divided by a single line. Balance. The orb's voice deepened. "The cycle demands renewal. You will choose, Elise Novak. Preserve your empire and lose your soul. Or remember who you were and begin again." Tears filled her eyes. "And if I choose wrong? Then the galaxy will forget you as you forgot them." In that instant, Elise understood. The weapon wasn't destruction, it was memory. Humanity's greatest strength and its greatest curse. She placed her hand on the glowing orb. "Then let them remember." A shockwave of light erupted, racing outward faster than light itself. Every human and alien mind across the galaxy felt it, not pain but clarity. The truth, raw and unfiltered. The history of humanity's rise and the lies that built it. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter. When the light faded, the universe was silent once more. Elise awoke in the ruins of the command tower. The sky was clear. The satellites were gone. The fleets were still. The endless hum of machines had stopped, and yet something had changed. Across the stars, alien worlds flickered with life again. Human ships drifted peacefully, their weapons disabled. The war was over, not by force but by remembrance. She stood alone, watching dawn rise over Earth's horizon. A soft voice echoed faintly in her comm, familiar, ancient, and gentle. "Well done, child of Earth, you have broken the cycle. Now build again," Elise smiled faintly. The Elder's warning had come full circle. They had warned the galaxy not to provoke humanity. But the deeper truth was this: humanity's greatest enemy had never been alien empires. It had always been itself. In the cold vacuum beyond, among drifting relics of war, a single beacon remained. It pulsed once, then transmitted across the cosmos. We remember, and for the first time in recorded history, the entire galaxy remembered too.